Hi guys, are you a salaried individual? Are you earning less than 8 lakhs per annum and want to get rid of monthly reduction of income tax? Or I should say you want to completely get rid of payment of income tax by complying with the law? Let's find out how through this video. So before we proceed, this video is prepared keeping in mind the following points. That is, you're living in a rented property and paying a rent of rupees 20,000 per month. You do not have any housing loan, you do not have any education loan, there's no other source of income except salary. Your investments under section 80C is less than 15,000, and you're an individual who wants to maximize your saving. As you know, the finance minister in the recent budget had introduced a new income tax slab while retaining the existing one. A lot of discussions took place among the tax specialists whether the introduced income tax slab is beneficial to public at large. Let me remind you, once you opt for newly introduced slab rates, you have to forego a list of allowances and deductions, and you cannot come back to previous slab in future. However, in this video, I am going to show you how you need not pay any taxes if your CTC is below 8 lakhs under the existing income tax slab, that is not opting to the newly introduced income tax slab. Let me begin with the current scenario which is being followed in most of the private limited companies. What happens in this private limited companies is the salary structure is not defined. So the gross pay generally consists of three things, that is the basic pay, the DA and other allowances. Yes, and few companies do mention HRA, but while calculating the TDS amount, they do not provide or they do not take under the HRA reduction amount. This can be because the employee is not mentioning them the rent they are paying, or they are not furnishing the PAN of the landlord. So let us begin. We'll take an example, a C2C of 7,85,000, where employer's contribution to PF is 21,600 and his gross salary is 7,63,400. So let us calculate on which amount, that is on which part of salary TDS is calculated. So TDS is calculated on gross salary reduced by standard deduction of 50,000 minus the employee's contribution to provident fund and the professional tax paid by him. So in this case, the net salary for calculation of TDS is 6,89,609. On this amount, income tax is calculated and reduced over a period of 12 months. So in this case, his total income tax comes to 52,439, that is 4,370 per month, and the employee's take home comes to 57,264. So before proceeding further, just keep in mind the take home in current scenario comes to 57,264, where the payroll is not properly defined. Alright guys, now I'm going to explain you how an individual with less than 8 lakhs of CTC need not pay a single penny of income tax. Now if you note, in my previous sheet I have told you the salary structure was not defined or was not well organized, but in this current sheet my salary structure is defined, organized as per Income Tax Act, and there is no changes with respect to the C2C and the annual gross salary. So if you note, the basic pay is the same, the dearness allowance is the same, that is existing in both the sheet, and the other allowances is existing in both the sheet. Now this table, I've taken an example of individual with two hostel children, that is two of his children living in hostel and studying. Okay, so yeah, the first thing is basic pay, same in both the sheet. DA in both the sheet is the same. Coming to house rent allowances. What is house rent allowances? House rent allowances, those allowance where an employee who's living on rent he gets a certain amount of deduction from his salary which will not be taxed. The deduction amount has been explained below in serial number D.1 in this sheet. Then other allowances is the common in both the sheet. Now the second difference is children education allowances. Income Tax Act states that if the individual's child is studying, then they get an exemption amount of rupees 50 per month restricted to two child. So in a year an individual gets 1200 as tax free salary. Then children hostel allowances. So if an individual's child is living in an hostel, he gets an allowances of rupees 300 per month restricted to two child. So this results in rupees 7200 per annum, which is tax free. Then coming to perquisites. So what is telephone perquisites? So the Income Tax Act states that if an employer reimburses the employee's telephone bills, then that amount will not be taxed in the hands of employee. So in this case, what the company can do is the company can ask the employee to make payment of his telephone bills and submit the bills to the company, so that the employee can enjoy a benefit of rupees 6000 per annum as tax free, assuming his monthly expenses is rupees 500 per month. Now the second perquisite is food allowances. Income Tax Act states that an employer can provide meals to an employee during the working hours, provided the employer provides a meal up to rupees 50 per meal. So in this case, what an employer can do is, instead of providing direct monetary benefit of rupees 24,000 to the employee's bank account, it can in turn give them vouchers of online platforms like Swiggy, Zomato, or they can provide instant e-vouchers which the employee can use. This way the employee saves rupees 24,000 being taxed. Next perquisite is gift. If an employer gifts an employee less than rupees 5,000 per year, then that amount is not taxed in the hands of employee. So what the employer can do is, up to rupees 4,999, the employer can provide them vouchers so that the employee can avail this benefit. So this makes our total gross salary to 7,63,400, which is the same as in the previous sheet. Now coming to deduction from gross salary for the purpose of calculation of TDS. As I've mentioned, that HRA, that is house rent allowances. So lower of the three, that is house rent allowance actually received, or the rent paid minus 10% of basic plus DA, or 50% of basic plus DA slash 40% of basic of DA, will be deducted from gross salary for the purpose of TDS calculation. So in this case, the employee has received an HRA of 12,500. Then assuming he pays a rent of 20,000 per month, then the second limit is rent paid minus 10% of basic plus DA, that is 15,250, and then 50% of basic plus DA on metro cities and 40% of basic plus DA on non-metro cities. So assuming he's in metro city, the amount comes to 23,750. So the lower of above is exempt, that is 12,500. After the house rent allowance deduction, the next deduction comes as standard deduction of rupees 50,000. Then employees contribution to provident fund, then professional tax, and all those exemptions as I mentioned above, that is the allowances, child education allowance, hostel allowances, telephone perquisites, food allowances, and the gift voucher, which brings the net salary for calculation of TDS to 4,96,210, which is less than 5 lakhs. So if an individual's income is rupees less than 5 lakhs, then he gets a rebate of rupees 12,500 or the tax amount whichever is lower under section 87A. So since in this case the gross salary, I mean the gross total income is less than 5 lakhs, there is no tax liability. And since there is no tax liability, the take home per month comes to 61,634, whereas in the previous sheet the take home was 57,264, which is nothing but a saving of 4,370. That is nothing but the tax amount saved by the employee.
So continuing, in previous I had taken individual with two hostel children, but now in the current two examples I'm going to speak about individual with two children staying with them and individual with one child. So keeping everything as it is, the only restructure I've done is the amounts in children education allowance and children hostel allowances, which the amount has been added to other allowances. For example, in this case, that is individual with two children, the children hostel allowance amount has been added to other allowances, and in case of individual with one child, the difference amount has been added to other allowances, and the total gross salary is the same, and C2C is also the same. So whether this will impact my TDS calculation, majorly no, minorly yes, because in the first example, my gross salary for computation of TDS is more than 5 lakhs by 3,410. In order to avoid that, I need to invest rupees 3,410 in section 80C mode. That is either in repayment of tuition for my child's education or payment of premium of LIC or investment in any mutual fund or investments in fixed deposit for 5 years. And in the second case where it is in excess of 4,010, the same way you need to invest the amount in some mutual funds or fixed deposit for 5 years or repayment of tuition for your child. So I think 3,400 and 4,010 is not a big amount for you to invest in section ADC mode. So let me just write it for you. So this way the take home is the same, that is 61,634. So in all the three examples the take home is 61,634 and you're not paying a single penny as income tax. This can be achieved only when your employer is ready to restructure his salary. I mean, he needs to restructure the policy of the company's salary, that is the payroll, and if he adopts this, it is beneficial for the employee as well as the company. How it is beneficial for the companies, they need not have a lot of files and lot of data which they need to use it while filing the TDS return. Likewise, the employee is also benefited as they are not losing around 50,000 rupees towards payment of taxes. Let me remind you, you are 100% safe with this because tax planning is allowed in Income Tax Act, but tax avoidance and tax evasion is not allowed. So what I have done is, this is nothing but purely tax planning. So if you plan your taxes, you're like in a very good position. In case if you require this Excel sheet, kindly get in touch with me in LinkedIn or send me a mail. I will forward you this sheet for you to discuss with your employer. You can also share my video and explain to your HR manager stating how this is beneficial for yourself and to the company. So in case you guys require any assistance, please feel free to contact me. Have a good day. Bye bye. If in case you liked my video, please like, comment and subscribe.